What's up, y'all? Goofy Rexy here, and hope everybody is doing well. And 2021 has been sort of a roller coaster year here in Marvel Strike Force. A lot of ups and downs. And let's say we did make a video talking about the biggest losers in Marvel Strike Force for 2021. But in this video, I'm going to shift gears a little bit, and I'm going to talk about the best wins or the biggest wins in Marvel Strike Force for 2021. And I'm not going to be talking about just characters here. I'm going to talk about quality of life improvements, some changes to raids, and a certain extent, just some different things here that I think are a standout for 2021. So let's get right into it, guys. The first thing I do want to talk about is going to be pertaining to characters, and it's about the character reworks that we got in 2021. I think that was, I don't know how many, we got a lot of reworks this year, right? We got a lot of reworks in 2021. Probably the most notable rework definitely had to do with Gamora and Nebula, and probably even more recently with Spider-Man Miles and also Spidey as well, and the new Web Warriors team coming out. But there were really a lot of reworks in 2021 that took some of these characters that were no longer part of the meta or were just absolutely terrible characters to use in the game, that made them relevant and gave you a good reason for you to invest into them. At the top of the year, we had a rework to Night Nurse, and we had a rework to Elektra as a part of the Shadowland team. And this team was really kind of the best war offense team in the game for a while. Yeah, you can make a case that Black Order was probably better, but I think in a lot of ways, Shadowland could take on some teams that Black Order couldn't take on, and Black Order were able to be some teams that Shadowland couldn't be, right? But for the most part, man, the rework to Night Nurse and Elektra were dynamic. The Night Nurse was actually a character that players were using in these Doom raids, so really a notable rework. Definitely Night Nurse and Elektra. We talked about Gamora and Nebula. I mean, arguably two of the worst characters in the game that were a part of the Infinity Watch team that made them so dominant in Marvel Strike Force. And I think it was a good rework for three different reasons, because Nebula and Gamora are characters that you can get in the early onset part of the game or earlier in the game, and that gave new beginner players an option as well for them to be able to use. So I like a lot of these reworks. Defenders got a rework. Heroes for Hire, I know we don't like Heroes for Hire that much, or some don't like Heroes for Hire that much, but realistically, Defenders were good. Then they got trash, and then here they are with a rework. Yeah, it's war defense, but still, it's still a relevant team. Ravagers got reworked now. The Wolverine, Sabretooth got reworked, right? So a lot of really noticeable reworks here in 2021, and I think, damn, they were pretty good. Brought some characters back to Resurgence, some characters that had some nostalgia for us, right? So it was actually pretty good to see some of these characters get a rework here in Marvel Strike Force. Now, shifting gears, and the next thing I want to talk about that I think one of the biggest wins for 2021 are a lot of these quality of life improvements. Now, I'm probably not going to get to most of them. I'm going to talk about the ones that probably really resonated with me very well. And the first one for me was save squads. This is something that a lot of us have been asking for a long period of time, man. We were asking for more option, more save squads, right? How can we benefit from having some save squad? When can we get more tabs for save squads? Can we get more save squads? But they really improved this first initially by giving us some more additional slots. They expanded from 35. They gave us 5 more additional slots, gave us 40 slots. And then they moved it up to where we now have different tabs. So we have our tabs for Blitz, we have our tabs for raids, we have our tabs for arena teams. And I didn't think I was going to really use the arena team tab quite often, but now there's so many options available to use in the arena. So I have a bunch of arena save squads, and then of course your war save squads as well. War offense, if you want to. You can also even save your war defense teams if you tend to like a certain different sort of defensive teams. You can kind of switch them out and use them at any point in time, but you can have them saved here instead of having to create that whole new different team all over again. So I like the save squads one. I think this is one that a lot of us were asking for quite some time. So I'm pretty excited about. I like the changes here. This is a quality of life improvement that I think really is very good in my opinion. Then we also had some changes to some gameplay, right? We had the auto basic button that was added, and that was one that a lot of us kept on asking about, especially using Axemen, using the symbiotes. A lot of us really wanted to get this auto basic button going, and we saw some other games that had auto basic, right? And a lot of us would time out of nose because we're sitting here just clicking basic. But now having the auto basic button for a team like the Symbiotes, who I know a lot of us are still using it in these Doom raids because we don't have a full Web Warriors team yet, and it's kind of hard to build up a full Web Warriors team at the current moment. Or build up a Web Warriors team because of the gear requirements, right? But a lot of us are benefiting from that auto basic button with the Symbiotes, benefiting from that auto basic button with the Axemen team, with a lot of different teams in general that you go through these raids with, and you're like, man, I'm probably going to time out here. I don't want to have to keep on. I only want to do basic, but now you have the auto basic button feature that helps you to be able to get through that content a lot quicker. So that's a really good quality of life improvement. One of the biggest wins for me in 2021. Another one that stood out to me as well was this button. This is very recent, but it's this download all assets button on Wi-Fi. Whenever there is a new update in the game, you gotta go in and you gotta click through all your save squads to get it to download all the assets. But now being able to have this button checked off all the time, you can kind of pop in and you can just get all this done for you automatically without you having to click through your save squads or click through the entirety of your roster. I mean, this was a massive one for me, man. I really actually like this one as well. So the quality of life improvements that really stood out to me: save squads, auto basic button, being able to download all assets, some of the changes to some of the in-game filters, being able to find some characters a little bit easier. Those are some of the biggest ones for me. And I know I'm probably forgetting some, so let me know. But I think these quality of life improvements were really some of the biggest wins for me here in Marvel Strike Force. But if there's something I'm missing, y'all let me know. Y'all leave it in the comments as well. Another one I wanted to talk about was the Arena Shakeup. And the Arena Shakeup really resonated with me quite a bit, man, because of Black Order, right? Black Order was essentially the top. That's not where I wanted to go. Black Order was essentially the top tier team in Arena for ever and a day, man. I mean, it was basically 9 to 10 months that Black Order was at the top of the echelon when it comes to Arena. Then being able to get just a little bit of a shakeup, for a little while we got Silver Surfer, and in Silver Surfer we were able to use him with a lot of different comps: Doc Ock, Mr. Sinister, Emma, Black Bolt. We were able to use a lot of these different characters to beat Black Order in Arena. We had Doom, right? We were able to use Doom in Arena. And then, we kind of went right back into this mirror match versus mirror match thing with Infinity Watch, just like how we have a Black Order for forever and a day. But it was still a nice little shakeup to be able to use Infinity Watch. That got boring after a while. And then now we have what we see here, right, is this completely new just Arena shakeup with the Eternals right now, where you're seeing people who are using Cable and Loki and Emma. Then you're seeing people who are using Doom and Zemo. I even see sometimes Omega Red, Captain Sam. Right now, I have probably maybe 5 different teams that I use. Sometimes I use a team with Phyla-Vell and Nebula and Adam Warlock with the Eternals. The mainstay are the Eternals, but then you kind of can interchange the other 3 characters to make it kind of work for you, right? So for me, I like this new Arena shakeup. Yeah, it's probably going to get boring again, right? Once players start to unlock Dormammu, and now you're seeing kind of all the same teams all over again. But I like having to kind of go into my Arena, look at the different teams that are available, and then say, okay, well, what can I potentially use right now? Or what can beat this team reliably, right? And the Arena matchups are quicker now. They're a lot quicker now than they were with Infinity Watch too. So Black Widow was actually still kind of quick. It was still kind of quick, but you kind of get the point, right? Just being able to have this sort of new, different shakeup right now in the Arena is kind of nice. Yeah, that might change with Dormammu. Yeah, it might change with some other characters getting released in the future. But right now, as it is, that's one of the biggest wins for me, is now having sort of these different hybrid teams that you can use in Arena. I think for me, that's one of the biggest wins right now, and it's kind of rejuvenated my excitement in Marvel Strike Force at this current moment. Another thing I wanted to talk about, this is probably quality of life as well. We could probably group it in together, but it's these war changes right now. I'm not going to jump into war because I'm only going to be able to show my defense right now, but let's talk about war as it was, right? And the changes that were made to war. So you're able now to get more war attacks, right, at the onslaught. Before you were only able to get 2, and then you have to purchase extra ones through the with your war currency that you get through blitz credits, or you can use to buy through blitz. So you get the point. But yeah, you only had 2, and then now it's expanded to 4. You can get 4 attacks. You get 4 free energy in the very beginning to start off with your wars, and then you can. If let's say that you're not able to get into war in the very beginning, you don't have to worry about capping out at your war energy because it was previously 5. Now your cap is 10. So you may miss the start off of war, then fall asleep and then wake up the next morning, but you're not capped out. You'll be pretty close, but at least you'll be able to do an attack to kind of jump in and run in. You can attack more. You can see more teams now at a time. So you have 4 teams now that are available that you can see instead of having to wait for somebody to attack 2 teams before then you can make a decision to see what else is available so that you can attack. So I like a lot of these war changes. This was a big one for me too, because I just don't like to waste time when it comes to war. And one of the biggest issues that we had, I think a lot of us complained about, was just how long it would take for you to do wars. And I found that, to be honest with you, like, it's actually cut my time down in war because I'm able to do more attacks right on the onset. I don't have to wait for somebody else to attack. If you're worried about, from an alliance leader perspective, if you're worried about somebody attacking the wrong room, you can now mark a room to say don't attack that room. Now they can still go into the room and attack, but the point is that you can mark that and say don't attack this room. It's pretty clear to say no, off limits, right? So those are some of the war changes that I definitely do like that they have made in 2021, and I think were really good. I should have pulled up the blog post that talked about the changes, but yeah, that was actually one of the things that I liked as well, are some of those war changes that really sort of improved the game. Now, I do think that certain teams definitely benefited more from the war changes. The cargo bay buffs, those are kind of a big deal, but I think overall, if we're talking about just the entirety of the year and looking at the time spent in the game, this has allowed us to kind of spend a little bit less time in the game. So I'm actually appreciative of that where that is concerned. All right, and the next thing I wanted to talk about here were the changes to, they did address some bottlenecks in the game, and I think that when I look at this, and the reason why I'm going to call this a win with some changes in bottlenecks, is because these changes would not have happened if it weren't for the community expressing these concerns. And there were some key changes here to gold, which is the first one we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about training mats, and then also green ISOs as well. So this is a blog post that showed up. I had to pull this blog post up before I talked about it. So this happened on 7/2. They mentioned that they were going to be giving us an increase here in gold, and it was going to be approximately 8.1 million gold per month. So the way they're going to do this was through daily objectives, which will be approximately 3 million gold per month. They were also going to increase the amount that you were getting through Alliance War, and then later on they increased the amount that you can get through the Payday Flash event every month, and then they also are giving you a monthly calendar gold login as well. So the 8.1 million gold, while I will agree with most if they say this, right, that it's probably not enough. I definitely think I agree with you on that one. That's the amount of characters that you have to improve now, right? And with Doom Rays and the level cap as well, it doesn't necessarily feel like enough. But I will say this, we got to address the fact, man, that they have not done anything like this over the past few years. While I've been playing this game, I haven't seen them do this much of an increase in gold here. So I will say that I do think this is actually a big win, and I think that this is a win because you guys addressed this as a concern, or they brought us up as a concern, and they were able to, and they actually went ahead and addressed it. So keep nagging if you want to make some changes. I know it sometimes feels like it's falling on deaf ears, but keep nagging anyways. The next thing was training mats. So training mat, I think training mats gold are probably some of the bigger bottlenecks in this game right now. I know. So they addressed that as well. I mean, they've done a lot of events where training mats were a reward for those events. They've also increased the amount of training mats that increase the amount of training mats by giving us a flash event every single month as well. So back to boot camp. Now we have that flash event where we can accumulate some of these extra training mats here. Now the recurring wards aren't that great, I will say. The first time rewards are really kind of where you're going to feel the impact mostly. But still, for the most part, I will say that this is a win, because training mats were big, especially not being able to get the L3 training modules reliably. They've also added the L3 training modules to the Doom campaign right now as well, right? So if you look at the Doom Chapter 4 campaign, you're able to farm and also get the training modules there as well. So they have definitely made a concerted effort to improve the way and the amount of training mats that you're able to get. I know some are still struggling with it, and I completely understand that. If you're leveling up characters a lot, especially if you're really trying to push endgame content, it may not feel like a lot. But I will say that them addressing some of the stuff, I think, is one of the biggest wins. But maybe the reason why I think it's a big win is because you guys continue to talk about it, and they actually were kind of not forced to address it, but they had to. They couldn't ignore you. Basically, is what it came down to. And then the next one is green ISOs. So they made some changes to green ISOs as well. I couldn't find the specific blog post that talked about the green ISOs, which was slightly disappointing, but they addressed green ISOs too. And the changes with green ISOs were really big because they were forcing us to get green ISOs, or forcing us to use or have characters at a specific ISO requirement for these Doom raids. And because, once again, the community just kept on going at them and addressing and talking about these concerns, they made some changes to green ISOs, making them more available in the campaign nodes, giving you more of an opportunity to farm them more frequently. They changed the 12 node from 10 to then 20, so you can farm that 20 times. They increase the amount of orb fragments that you're able to get for your ISO. So I think that, to me, that bottleneck was really big. I would like to see them make some changes now to the blue ISOs, because those seem a little too tight right now, in my opinion. But those three bottlenecks, I think, were really, really key for a lot of players: the increase in gold, the training mats, and then also those green ISOs as well. I'm going to call those a big win, and mainly a big win because they actually listen to you at least a little bit when it comes to that. Next thing I want to talk about were gamma rays. Now, gamma rays were kind of suck, bro. They're terrible. Like, none of us like them. So gamma raids, I liked. They made some two really key changes to gamma raids that I think really were impactful. Philovel was released. A lot of us kept on questioning. Once again, I want to talk about this. Like, you guys are the reason why this change happened, right? You guys kept on talking about, why is Philovel not a Kree character? Why doesn't she have the Kree tag? Why doesn't she have the Kree tag? Well, they gave her the Kree tag and allowed her, so that this enabled you now to be able to use her in those gamma raids. On the left side, climbing up, Philovel really impacted the heck out of gamma raids, man. I mean, she made that crap doable. Before it was just abysmal. You're going in there, you're getting clap cities. Right now, it's like, okay, we got a fighting chance here. That boss node still sucks, but 2 people can tap that right now, and we can get through it on difficulty 3. So I like this change. This was a big change. And the other one was also adding the Heroes for Hire tag to the gamma raid, so that you could also start using your Heroes for Hire characters. And man, that was a big change as well, right? I mean, this was really big because going up the middle really sucked, right? You had to use defenders, and a lot of us were asking, man, can we get Punisher to have the defenders tag? Although that wouldn't fully make sense, but still, we were just grasping at straws, man, to try to get characters that we could use in the gamma raids. Well, they allowed you to use Heroes for Hire in those gamma raids as well, and they were surprisingly effective. Misty Knight's really good there. Colleen Wing's really good there. Luke Cage is not the best outside of war, but still kind of stout enough, right, to be able to get it done. And Iron Fist, his healing is like, it's better than we thought it was, right? So therefore, you were able to get a lot of really good value out of that by having Shang-Chi, having the Heroes for Hire team added to the gamma raids, and having Philovel added to the gamma raids as well. So gotta count that as a big win. Dark Dimension 4, I'm gonna put that on as a win too, man. We're going crazy, I know, but Dark Dimension 4, I gotta add it as a win, because Dark Dimension 3 was absolutely trash. Worst game mode that I feel that they've ever created. Actually, we'll get to that one next. But one of the worst game modes that I think that they've ever created is Dark Dimension 3. It had no plot, no nothing. It was just difficult for no reason. I was just tired of it. I did not like Dark Dimension 3. It was overtuned. Now there's one note in Dark Dimension 4 that's overtuned as well, which is rumored that it was supposed to be actually a Dark Dimension 3 node. That's the node with Emma. But then of course the wave that drops after Emma. Oh boy, in the city section. But it's nothing really compared to how bad the entirety of Dark Dimension 3 was. So Dark Dimension 4 was actually kind of a decent win. RTA was another big win for us too recently, because they made changes to now where you can actually blitz, and your blitz wins can count towards your weeklies, right, for RTA. Now RTA was something that they created that was just horrendous and horrible. It was not good. The amount of time that you had to do it, it was supposed to be a fun game mode, PvP mode, where you could use your characters against other players' characters in the game. But they killed that, man, by making it a part of Mojo's Mayhem. I don't want to rant, so I'm going to stop. But they're making a change to where you can now blitz, and that can count towards your RTA, and only having to do 2 RTA battles a day so that you can use those, so that you can clear your objectives. Cool, man. It's a win. It's a win. We'll take the damn win. The way that we can take it is the way I look at it. One of the last things I wanted to talk about, and I think it's actually a pretty cool win for me, are costumes. They mentioned this also in their review blog post, second half of the year blog post, and they introduced costumes into Marvel Strike Force. And now I don't like the way that they've implemented some of the costumes, like the Weapon X costume, the Phoenix costume, the pay aspect that they've gone, and how they've gone now with the pay aspect. We know that Zemo's costume, only way you're going to be able to get that is by paying for RTA. So yeah, that portion of it kind of sucks. But some of these costumes, man, were kind of fresh, bro. Like, I mean, the Gamora costume is really cool. I like, the Spider-Man No Way From Home costume is dope. The Shang-Chi costume, that's what I'm rocking, right? That's pretty good. Oh, I do kind of like the original look too. But yeah, the Shang-Chi costume, more modern costume, is pretty good too. There was a Doctor Strange costume that they removed, but we know that he's going to be a new character. The Venom costume looked ridiculous. I like Emma's new look. So really, costumes are actually one of the biggest wins for me too, because I actually think that some of them look really cool. So in my opinion, I'm gonna put that on there as one of the biggest wins for Marvel Strike Force this year. So listen, that's pretty much it. I'm sure that there's probably some other stuff that I can go through here. Maybe some things that you guys might see as well that maybe you want to talk about. But let me know. I'm feeling pretty good about a lot of the stuff that I talked about here on this list. Definitely some improvements that I would still like to see them make, man. The new game modes, I'm looking forward to them also being able to. I hope the new game mode is going to be something that's going to be fun, right? That's ultimately what I want. I want a fun game mode. I don't mind leveling up my roster, leveling up more characters on my roster, as long as it's a fun reason why I'm doing it, that I'm actually enjoying this game mode. I won't mind it at all. I still need it to release to alleviate some of these extra bottlenecks, but either way, I'm cool with it. I would like to see some more addressing of orange gear. I think there needs to be some changes to some orbs. I think that they need to make some changes to hero uniques. G14s are definitely a problem. And then something towards the early to mid game addressing of issues as well, where T2s, T3s, purple gear, stuff like that is also addressed as well. And shifting up some of these characters that are now in later game farms and shifting them down to earlier game farms, and then putting newer characters, right, in being more consistent in how quickly they make characters farmable, I think is another big one as well, because Moondragon is not farmable. There's a lot of characters that should be farmable that are not farmable yet. So would like to see them sort of make some changes where that is concerned too. But listen, man, I want to know what you guys, man or woman, want to see what you guys have to say about, the 2021 biggest wins here. What did I probably leave off the list? Curious to know what your guys' thoughts are. But until next time, guys, y'all be blessed and y'all be safe. Peace. Woo! Man, I couldn't believe I couldn't find the blog post on the ISOs, dude. What a fail. Well, not really. But kind of. Nah, not really. But kind of. Nah, not really.